everybody. Welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thank you for joining me. Very excited to be back to do another video talking about a very special, sweet transit that's going to be setting up here over the next week or so. Do me a favor, if you are a new viewer of my channel, make sure that you hit the like and the thumbs up button below. Give me a comment. Let me know where are you watching from and where is this transit taking place for you. If you subscribe to my channel, you're going to know when I'm coming out with new content. We have videos dropping every couple days on Beyond the Veil. And always, I appreciate everybody's support, whether you are new or a member or a longtime subscriber. Thanks for meeting me back. Wow. I think everybody could use a little bit of good news, right? So I'm really pleased to announce that I'm very excited for some of the transits that are shaping up during the end of April this month. Now, this video is going to be primarily on the super conjunction that's taking place in the sign of Pisces. Maybe you guys have already heard about it. I kind of discussed it a little bit earlier during my horoscopes video. I talked about this sweet setup of Jupiter, Neptune, and Venus in the sign of Pisces. Now, Mars is there as well, but Mars is not going to be a part of the exact conjunctions. But still, we're going to feel that energy having both Venus and Mars, the star-crossed lovers, in the same sign. So I'm very excited. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about different aspects about this transit. And if you stay tuned until the end of the video, I'm also going to give you a little bit of insight as to where it's going to be hitting for your own personal zodiac sign. So please stay tuned for that. So what we're going to be having set up here is basically a stellium. So I'll give you guys all of the dates because it's going to range, but I'm really kind of getting the vibe that it's going to pick up starting right around April 25th. So in just a couple days time, it'll run clear until the end of April. Now, a stellium is when we have 3 or more planets in any one sign. It can be a house, but generally I look at it from the standpoint of the sign. So we're going to have, starting on April 25th, the moon, Mars, Venus, Neptune, and Jupiter all in Pisces. So very dreamy, very romantic, especially having Mars and Venus in this sign. Venus is exalted in Pisces. And where Mars might have a little bit more of a challenge, I think it's good because Mars is kind of cooling off a little bit. We have a lot of planets moving through Pisces, and that is the 12th house of the zodiac. So there is a sense of things wrapping up, or us being able to take time to rest, retreat, recuperate, heal, also focusing on spiritual passion, desire, kind of working behind the scenes. I'm using the transit to leave the country, so I'm quite excited. It just so happened to kind of play out that way. It was not something that I planned. And the more that I started looking at the transits, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so exciting to spend like over a week on some very beautiful beaches. And I'm just very excited that it's that the transits are coinciding with my trip. It could not be better timing. But I think that when I look at this transit, it makes me feel like there is a birth of some very creative and very spiritual and very romantic energies that are coming. Like I said, all of us could use a little bit of good news. So I talked at length about how kind of rocky April was going to be, but towards the end of the month when we have this conjunction, it was almost going to feel like we're waving a white flag, right? There's going to be some kind of peace treaty in some areas of our life, and things are going to kind of calm down, and they're going to heal, right? That's really what we see when transits like Venus goes through Pisces, especially the 12th house. Like I said, it's about wrapping things up. So on one hand, it's a great time to like rest, recuperate, get away, take a holiday, spend more time, with a romantic partner, kicking back, watching some Netflix and some movies, and having nice opportunities for romance. The 12th house Mars Venus stuff is like bed pleasures, so it can definitely be a lot of like being able to connect intimately with a romantic partner. I think also what it's going to do is drum up a bunch of very creative energies, especially for people who are involved in like photography or film, creative design, anything relating to spirituality. Pisces 12th house is associated with temples. And I look at this and I go, wow, temples of love, temples that are really dedicated to the goddess, anything relating to waters and chalices, kind of flowing over. It's very Ace of Cups energy. anything relating to sweet water or the ocean, and goddesses or deities that may be associated with the ocean or associated with Atlantis. That's something that kind of comes to mind. I know I always beat the drum on that, but I'm just hoping it gets found. And because Jupiter deals with treasures, whether that's treasures in the form of actual treasure chests and jewels, or spiritual insight and enlightenment, I think that this is probably one of the sweetest conjunctions we're going to see in a very long time. We are not going to see Jupiter and Neptune come into this conjunction again for about another 160 something odd years. So to have Venus go through there, I think it's really a really good idea to make the best of it and know exactly where in your chart this conjunction is taking place. Now, this can also be the beginning of a renaissance, a birth of a renaissance that's going to be happening that may produce new film styles, new cinematography styles, anything relating to filters and perception, right? Because Venus does deal with beauty, but Neptune is very much going to deal with the lens in which we look through. And so I think that our perception of beauty, art, romance, and everything is going to be very, very, very much in the mainstream. We're going to see that that's going to be an extreme theme. And we might see that also be influenced with some like Pisces type archetypes. So I think of like mermaids or anything relating to stuff that's extraterrestrial. Not many people know, but Neptune deals with aliens, and some more kind of beautiful, harmonious ways of looking at contact with whoever or whatever is out there. So it can be almost like this peaceful connection that some people might start having with some of these particular beings is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that there's like some sign that's like, oh, we come in peace, that's what I think of when I look at this conjunction. So look for these themes archetypally. We're going to see it out in the world. I'm hoping that it is opportunities for peace, especially in certain parts of the world where we have seen lots of tumultuousness and even war and conflict, especially with Mars joining the bunch. Hopefully, as Mars is coming into conjunction with Neptune, that can materialize as like kind of cooling the waters rather than adding fuel to the flames. I do have concerns about whether or not this materializes down the road as like ship and Navy mobilization and deployment that are happening overseas or into international waters, more conflict revolving around borders, islands, things like that are going to be surrounding, coastlines. And yeah, so hoping that does not happen. Venus is going to go in and come into the conjunction first and really kind of smooth things over and create lots of opportunity for peace. So let me give you guys the dates really quickly, and then we'll talk about how this is going to play out more so in our personal lives. So I want you to really just note April 25th, 2022, this is going to be when the moon enters into Pisces, and its first conjunction is going to be with Mars. And so I think when that happens, it's going to be this theme of like, why are we reacting the way that we're reacting emotionally? Where can we let intuition be the guide for helping us kind of better determine what we're fighting for, what we're passionate about, what we're hoping to initiate? Mars in Pisces is not the most linear sign. It's going to be something that is more emotional and internal. So pay attention to what's like coming up that's driving you to do something on the 25th. Then on the 26th of April, we're going to see that the moon comes into conjunction with Venus around 23 degrees of Pisces. Now, then it's in conjunction to Neptune at 24 degrees. So that is going to materialize as, I think, us just being in this state of harmony and peace and spirituality and ritual and anything relating to love, whether that's offerings for Venus, picking flowers, pouring baths, anything relating to being able to almost be baptized in like sweet water. I keep saying sweet water because Venus coming into conjunction with Neptune is going to definitely be sweet or healing. I'm anticipating this is going to be a lot of people maybe opting to join religions, spiritual groups, be baptized, anything pertaining to just giving their love to a particular organization or belief system, right? So very sweet day. I know that the 26th, ironically, is going to be a Tuesday, but that whole week is really great for just romance and connecting with other people. So if you have the opportunity Tuesday really through the weekend to have some romantic time alone with somebody, it can be very, very, very wonderful. Now, then we're going to see on the 27th, Venus does come into the conjunction with Neptune. It's going to be at 24 degrees of Pisces. So it's at a Pisces degree, doubly 24 in degree astrology always relates back to Pisces. And we may see things come or go. You know, when we're dealing with this energy of Venus, Neptune, it can be, I guess the darker side is like, where did they disappear to? What's really going on? What's happening behind the scenes? It's not all like, you know, I don't know, like mermaids and waterfalls. There can be issues pertaining to scams and people not particularly like being truly how they present themselves. So you want to watch out for that as well. Venus Neptune themes can be making sacrifices or giving yourself wholly for love without asking anything in return. But it can also be about kind of getting the wool pulled over your eyes and seeing certain individuals on a pedestal and, you know, looking at the relationship through rose-colored glasses. So if you are a Venus Neptune native, you know what I'm talking about. If you are a Venus in Pisces, you know what I'm talking about. And there can be a sense of some things fading away and there can be a sense of other things coming in. So be very aware of that. Like, you know, whenever it comes to like making big decisions, maybe in love or making big decisions financially, just be mindful of these days, even though all of the planets are in positive aspect to Earth signs. So you know, we do see all these sextiles from Pisces to Pluto and Capricorn, which is really helping us kind of become aware of our personal power. I look at that, you know, second sign to Pluto and Capricorn as really dreaming and creating and putting something together that can have value, spiritual value, or some kind of spiritual like exercise in your creative sense of self, right? So I think of like sound bowls and anything relating to healing or designing or anything of that nature. We also see all of these planets in Pisces make sextiles to Uranus, North Node, and Mercury in Taurus, which is very stable. So I kind of liken all these Pisces planets to being in a back room, designing, creating, manifesting, chanting, anything that is about receiving the vision from the goddess to be able to relay this back to Taurus and say, okay, now go and build it. So in a way, like dream teams, dream scenarios are all kind of setting up in the background. Really high vibrations of love and manifestation is taking place. So inspiration can strike while you're in the shower. It can strike while you're having sex. It can strike while you're watching a movie. And then all of a sudden there's just like this idea that pops in and it'll keep coming back to you, right? Subconsciously or maybe even in a dream, trying to get you to put that dream into action, Taurus. So we want to look at not just where Pisces is, but where Taurus is in your chart as well, because they're having conversations with each other. Then we're going to see Venus hang out with Neptune for a little while. So it'll be at 24 degrees. It passes Neptune and then it'll sit between Neptune and Jupiter in Pisces the 28th, really until about May 2nd. Now, between that period, right, when we see Venus that has passed Neptune and it's sitting in conjunction to Jupiter, we look at all three of these planets separately, archetypally. So where Neptune is like divine love, inspiration, our vision, isolation. It can be separation, but it can be togetherness. Venus, which is about opening up and being more so receptive to love, sex, romance, pleasure. And then Jupiter being about information, knowledge, sharing, goodness, making things bigger. It's like, oh my gosh, like I've been looking at this conjunction for months, wondering what was going to play out. But when we tie these archetypes together, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to really kind of make sense of it, right? Because you're looking at really like a stellium of planets now that's in Pisces, if you want to include Mars or the moon. So for that, I bust out my Archetypal Universe by Ren Butler. He is a magician with words. I love keeping this book on my desk just for reference, especially when we're looking at major conjunctions, because I think that it can he can just piece it together so beautifully and explain it. So I'm just going to read you what he says about Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune coming together, an archetypal triad. So for those of you guys who have the book, it is page 319. So the principles of Jupiter, Venus, and Neptune: an overflowing happy imagination, zany and fruity charm, a lush and exotic beauty, healthy spiritual ideas in one's relationships, aesthetic grace and refinement, wholesale romantic confusion or deception, potential for insincerity, shallowness, spiritual aesthetic pretensions, passive laziness, along with high material expectations. A lush and abundant grace, gorgeous, enhancing beauty, overflowing charm and mystique, a big smile, qualities of kindness and compassion, spiritual values in one's relationship life, peaceful and happy periods with favorite people, ecstatic merging with friends, partners, feeling of lushly sensual revere, romantic spiritual satisfaction, rewarding platonic love, an overflowing happy imagination, a rich education in the fine arts and humanities, qualities, aesthetic refinement, sophistication, natural glamour, and allure. A mystical involvement in the creative world, a love of spiritual art, music, aesthetic, rapture, epiphany, art for the sake of art. What else does it say? Art for the sake of true, art for the sake of good and beautiful, that is faith that I am searching for. Theatrical gatherings, unusual satisfying parties, experience of divine harmony, visions, celestial beauty, union with the divine beloved, oceanic or melted forms of ecstasy. Wow. On the downside, you can see things like wholesale romantic confusion, inflated wishes, relationship delusions or deceptions, habitual shallowness and insincerity, projection of an excessive persona, the prestige and glamour of cultures, passive laziness, high material expectations, spiritual materialism, religious new age pretensions, ritual trappings and ceremony, habit of equating exotic jewelry or clothing with spirituality. So, it's interesting. I could see both sides of the coin, right? And I've talked a little bit about just at least my perspective on spirituality, and that, having all the bells and whistles is nice, right? It's nice to have like the tarot decks and the crystals and the things, and we can have all of those things. But spirituality is inherently natural. It's organic. It's something that cannot be bought. It's not something that can be just easily obtained. Even if you have all of the things, it doesn't necessarily mean that that is what you are at the core. And I know this is like a sensitive subject, especially being somebody who's in this field. Certainly, we may sell products, we may sell services, we may sell readings and all kinds of things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we are spiritual or that the people who are purchasing them are either. So I think that it's presenting us with also an opportunity with the sextiles to Taurus and also Pluto, that it's really important for us to focus more on spirituality in terms of what we're learning and what we're integrating and what we're sharing with other people, what we're willing to give away for free. Maybe it's just me. That's part of the reason why I have been focusing on doing this channel, is not only being able to put out information and resources for people who may not necessarily find it on their own, but people who may not be able to afford to have readings, or people who need a lot of assistance and guidance, who can't connect with somebody regularly, right? For me, it's like part of being creative, but also like tithing this back into my community. And this has got me thinking also just like a lot about beauty in general, right? How we see beauty, what is beautiful, how beauty is such a huge theme in our culture nowadays, how we've become like used to just putting a filter on our face and totally distorting our face, and projecting a version of ourselves that aesthetically is, while very beautiful, it's also very fake. It's not real, right? And I've had a real issue with this. Part of it's just because I guess I'm getting older and I'm like kind of weird about aging in general, but I've been thinking more about what is beautiful, like naturally beautiful, and not necessarily something that has to be like falsely represented. This is just me. I'm not saying anybody has to agree with this. These are just my perspectives. But I think that with some of the transits that are coming, we're going to see an amplification and an emphasis on, buy this to be spiritual, buy this to be more beautiful, download this app to correct your face, brighten your eyes, add color, add makeup, change your hair, change your body. So on one hand, I think this is going to explode, and we're going to see new, beauty techniques and new fillers and all kinds of things that we can have that is going to make us more beautiful if we're buying into that concept. There's also going to be all kinds of new jewelry and products and services and religions and cults and other things that are going to kind of lure you in under the guise of I think romance, love, working with the goddess, working with Venus, anything that's divine. So I would just say practice caution. I think that I'm leaning more into the North Node in Taurus. I've been focusing more on that. Just me personally, like I'm now refusing to put any filters on my face. I'm not going to put filters on my face. I'm not going to do that because it doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't make me feel real or authentic. I'm also kind of experimenting with like not wearing makeup and what it means to not contour my face and what it means to not always feel like I have to curl my hair a certain way or do this or do that. I'm looking more at like quality rather than quantity and knowing more about the ingredients that I'm putting in my face and also wanting to present my face in a way that is more natural and honest rather than allowing myself to fall into the trap of I have to look this way in order to be beautiful. So if that's something you're thinking about, something that you're leaning into, or maybe you're kind of going back and forth between the Taurus mansion of what's more natural and the Pisces mansion of what can I enhance and make bigger and change, you could fall on either one of those spectrums. I will also say that something that kind of piqued my interest, and this is especially going to be when Venus is actually sitting between Neptune and Jupiter. So that's going to be from about April 28th through the 30th of April. There is going to be an activation of a midpoint, and we're going to see that Venus is sitting literally between Neptune and Jupiter. So that'll be the Jupiter-Neptune midpoint, which I found kind of interesting. So the principle of this is rich imagination, copious idealism to help others abundantly and generously, to be unworried or unconcerned about material things, and hence the possibility of being wasteful. A person who is easily duped or taken advantage of, an excess of dreaming, fantasizing, causing trouble, enthusiasm over possibilities. So it is kind of playing into that whole, hey, you could get duped, you could get scammed, you could see somebody for their potential, but not for what it is. There can be a tendency to just overly fixate or fantasize. So then when we add Venus into the mix, one takes pleasure in dreaming and speculating, and an appreciation of richly imaginative art, a relationship in which two people stimulate each other's imagination, which may be impractical. So there can be a sense of people being very creatively or spiritually or romantically inspired and feeling like you want to create something, but it's like these energies are not tangible, right? Where you can't hold on to them. Similar to water, it's just going to kind of fall between your hands. You can't hold it unless you have like an actual vessel to hold on to. That's what I love about the Taurus aspects. I think that that's really going to help us hold on to it and realize that we can build it once we're getting more stability in the Taurus mansion. So right now we're still in the dreaming, ideas, planning, visual, vision boards, sketches type of land. We're not in reality land yet, even though we have planets that are in Taurus. We have to wait for some other things to kind of set up. So just be mindful of that. Also, something else I want to talk about is the Sabian symbol. When Venus is conjunct Neptune and then when Venus is conjunct Jupiter. So those are going to be two separate degrees of Pisces. So first we're going to talk about 25 degrees of Pisces. And this is the this is the Venus-Neptune conjunction. Purification, the purging of the priesthood. The symbol speaks to integrity and to the consequences of violating a sacred trust. The image of purging the priesthood refers to holding individuals in higher places to equally high standards and to the fact that those who set standards for others will also be judged by them. Man finds hope and inspiration for his own ongoing in those who lives in his ideals, and he will not abide by betrayal. On a practical level, the symbol points to a separation of the wheat from the chaff, or from weeding out or whatever has lost its value and usefulness. At its highest, the symbol represents high standards, ethical behavior, and a rejection of hypocrisy and pretentiousness. Watch for prejudice and bigotry. retaliation or vindictiveness. The accent is on dismissal, so that's interesting. Whenever I see these conjunctions happen, I always anticipate there's also going to be something that happens with like like with the church or like a major organized religion, that something could play out where like somebody, you know, gets called out for their misconduct or for their behavior. And so I am kind of anticipating that this is going to happen as well, both because of the conjunction to Neptune, but also because of the sextile to Pluto. So I'm wondering if that's going to be something that will transpire. Then when we see Venus conjunct Jupiter, so this is the big love concept, the lessons in love, the lessons that we learn revolving around sacrifice and the willingness to give. And this is going to be happening at 27 and change. So we're going to read 28 degrees of Pisces. I find this interesting. This is going to be happening on the 30th, and it's going to sextile Pluto. Pisces 28, a fertile garden under the full moon. The keyword is ultimacy. A culmination. The symbol speaks to the appreciation of simple things in life. The image of a fertile garden under the full moon also alludes to the reflection and expansion of consciousness and a deeper understanding of the importance of traditional accomplishments or those achievements that are commonly recognized or valued by the average individual. There's also a melancholy or wistful undertone in this symbol. In his 1953 commentary, Mark Jones referred to the lonely genius, comparing him to the average individual who is blessed by virtue of being the collective embodiment of those features that ensure the survival of the race. There is no archetype for individual genius, and thus whatever he creates of enduring worth is given to the world, and he goes his way alone. The creation of the Sabian symbol in the commentary by Mark Jones is an example of such immortal contribution. At its highest, the symbol represents material wealth wisely administered. Watch for greed in materialism. The action is on reward and accomplishment. The fruits of your labor may manifest and grow in a tangible and satisfying way. I find it interesting that the Sabian symbol is a fertile garden under the full moon. The 30th will be an eclipse. That's going to be a solar eclipse, so it's going to be a new moon, and it's in Taurus. And Taurus is ruled by Venus, and so if you haven't seen that video that I did on the Taurus eclipse, take a look. I put it out so that way you guys can see how it's going to affect you. I'm very excited for this because I feel like in so many ways the richness or the fertile things that are coming to existence for us may not be things at all. It may not be money. It may not be dollars, you know, in a bank account. It may be rich with spirit, rich with love, rich with romance, creativity, rich with emotional satisfaction, right? Because it's Pisces. It doesn't necessarily have this like physical, tangible thing. Maybe when Venus gets into Taurus, that's possible. But I think right now we're realizing that in order to really practice abundance, in a sense, we have to also be emotionally and spiritually in alignment and really be focusing on passion. So anything that's valuable, right? Anything that's worth holding on to is certainly going to stem from some sense of being almost like in love with the idea of bringing it to life, right? I think of Taurus being life. I think of Pisces being the dream. There are certain things that are being manifested that are actually coming down through divine inspiration from this transit that's coming from the ethers into this plane. And we're going to start to see it really materialize, perhaps maybe when planets like Venus or maybe even Mars are getting into Taurus later this year. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm excited to see how it manifests for all of the 12 signs. I would say definitely take a look at both where Pisces and Taurus is in your chart. Pisces is the dream, inspiration side of what's going on, and it's funneling into Taurus, which is going to be the more physical side. And we'll talk about that a little bit today as I get into each and every one of the 12 signs, just to give you guys a reminder of where this is playing out. So just to touch base on these dates again, if you guys did not get it, this energy sets up starting on April 25th. We're going to be feeling it clear until about the 2nd of May. Later in the day on May 2nd, we're going to see Venus leave Pisces and it will enter into Aries, and it will be 0 degrees of Aries. So we go from this very kind of Piscean, Neptunian, you know, being, I don't know, I think of like Venus being born, you know, of the waves and the sea foam and all the cherubs that came out. She's like in this big shell. And then Venus goes into Aries and it's just like, you know, suddenly our love language becomes conflict and it becomes aggression. So that's always fun to feel that ingress, right? So let's talk about where this is going to be materializing for each and every one of the 12 signs. And I'll give you guys a little bit of insight and some predictions for what I see. So for Aries and Aries rising, this is going to be taking place in your natal 12th house. A lot of what I was saying really applies. There can be a sense of certain things coming to an end also. So it's not always about all love and sex behind the scenes. The 12th house is a house that deals with endings of sorts. So you can be kind of feeling like you're going through the cosmic washing machines in certain relationships, especially because it is involving Venus, which is the ruler of your second and also your 7th house. So there can be a sense of really being behind the scenes, working either on finances or working in relationships. You would benefit, Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising, from going on a vacation, you know, checking out, getting away from it all. I think that even though there's a lot of planets in your second house right now that's putting an emphasis on making money and resources, there are a lot of planets in Pisces which are still needing to kind of break into Aries and catch up. We're going to see in the next month as Venus and also Jupiter goes into your sign, it's going to be a fresh start. So there are some certain things that are kind of flushing out. But for the most part, you know, to see all of these planets align, you know, your 2nd, 7th, 9th, and 12th house lords, makes me feel like there's an opportunity for retreats or spiritual studies, continuing education, anything revolving metaphysics, or just creativity or love or romance behind the scenes. The card that I get for you is the 6 of Coins. Sorry, I know these are a little reflective, but, you know, I like them. Aesthetic. You got to do it. It's the aesthetic. 6 of Coins. So you're receiving help and assistance. There's balance. There's a sense of people helping you, you helping other people, giving back, or things coming back to you. I'm very curious about the Jupiter Venus conjunction in your 12th house and that being almost like a, well, how can I explain it? It's almost like a guardian angel, you know, a blessing that comes out of the blue, like right when you need some assistance, some care, some resources, some love, something shows up. So very what you put out is what you receive. There's lots of karmic stuff that can happen when you're looking at these conjunctions in the 12th house. Who are you helping? Who's helping you? How are you paying it forward? And finding, you know, stability in your finances, your resources, your career stuff from that as well. So very positive for you, Aries. For Taurus and Taurus rising, you are going to feel this very strongly because it is involving your chart ruler, Venus. So this conjunction of Jupiter, Neptune, Venus, as well as Mars is in there too. You're seeing all of this line up in your 11th house. This is very big, okay, because this deals with your goals. This deals with new friends, new associations, networks. This is, you know, really fancy parties and meeting really creative, spiritual people and being around people who have a lot to kind of offer in terms of helping aid your dreams in general. I get the impression that for this conjunction to be happening, there's this huge transformation revolving around your goals and how you're of service in the world. And you're realizing that you either have to start a group or a network, you have to align with people who want to help make this possible. There can be this feeling of everything kind of coming together suddenly, but from people that you would never anticipate that would enter into your life. I think that for all of this to be happening in the 11th house is almost like the finale also of you getting a pat on the back or getting an opportunity to really have a lot of appreciation or rest or recuperation or playtime after what's been a very busy last couple of weeks for you professionally, because this is the 2nd house to the 10th. So there's definitely a lot of like celebrating some kind of accomplishment or something that you have been working on in general. The card that I got for you is the Knight of Pentacles. So this makes me feel like there is an opportunity to either meet or connect with somebody who can actually help you build some of these networks and move forward. There may be an earth sign, or this could be you, that's basically saying that you're really thinking long and hard about any of your material possessions and where you're going, what you're investing in. This can be financial news that's coming that's positive. It can be in the distance though. It might take a little bit of time before it to fully transpire. And with the Knight of Pentacles, he's very cautious when it comes to making any moves, investments, giving something away, building something. But he's also very protective of something as well. So the Knight is protecting the coin. So you might be realizing like, wow, this is like a really significant goal of mine. I need to protect it. I need to put energy into this. I need to be, thinking things through when it comes to timing or investments. Or it could be somebody who's coming in who's wanting to help kind of, possibly fund or assist you with a goal that you're investing in or a business that you're investing in. Interesting, because Jupiter is your 8th house lord. So there can be people who show up perfect time to help you invest in something. All right, so now we have Gemini and Gemini rising. So we have this conjunction setting up in your 10th house of career. Oh my goodness, Gemini. It's like all your dreams are coming true, especially if you're in a creative field, a spiritual field, if you're in a field that deals with therapy or the healing arts, anything with acting, film, metaphysics, like really great for you. It can feel like everything that you have been working towards is finally coming together, and it's your moment in the sun. I'm loving the fact that it's also involving Jupiter, which is your 7th house lord. So there can be a sense of like possibly working with a partner or bringing on a new partner or somebody really prominent, especially if you're like a manager of sorts. There can be like you bringing on like a really big name in some way and like collaborating with somebody who's definitely going to give you a lot more exposure. Good things for relationships as well. So I'm really digging that. I just think that I would be really mindful of everything that you're doing out in the world because, you know, everything is being magnified. Eyes are on you because it's happening in your 10th house. So people are definitely going to see what you're doing. But for career breakthroughs, but for launching things or getting a lot of visibility, I think it's going to be very positive. The card that I get for you is the 8 of Coins, working hard on your task and really defining just how you work in general. I think it's also about having excellent craftsmanship and like people really noting like all the fine tweaks that you'd put on things or like the techniques that you have. You're very detail oriented. You're looking everything over and making sure that whatever you're working on or whatever you're putting out there, that you're, you know, really looking everything over because it has to be perfect. Definitely a lot of work, but there's also a lot of reward that comes with the 8 of Coins because the next card would be the 9 of Coins, which is like you spending that money. So it tells me that you're just really working hard on getting ready to release something of value. For Cancer and Cancer rising, this conjunction is happening in your natal 9th house, and it is a sister sign. So Cancers and Scorpios are going to benefit from this energy the most. I think that being that it's happening in your 9th house, I'm wondering like if there is this renewal of faith. Starting to have more faith in yourself, starting to have more faith in the vision of what's going on with your career. Perhaps maybe you're getting ready to teach a course, graduate a course, maybe you're traveling a lot, maybe you have to travel for work. There is a sense of big things shaping up and wrapping up before you go into what's going to be the next month or two where there's brand new beginnings in your career. Wonderful time to be traveling, to be overseas, abroad, to get on an airplane, go somewhere that you've never been before, someplace that has lots of beautiful water, lots of art and music and culture. If you can't, taking a course, taking a class, planning a trip, looking into going somewhere in the future, because it may not be right now, but it could be soon or later this spring. I also get this feeling that this is going to very much be about you learning that your faith in yourself and your health and your daily routine is very important. There is a need to tie all of these things together because it is also highlighting anything that is associated with your natal 8th house. So there's some changes, there's some transformations going on about your beliefs and about your schedule in general. I have a feeling also this is possibly considering or thinking about moving further away. That can be something else that's coming up as well because this involves Venus, which is your 4th house lord. You may be traveling to visit family, family's coming to visit you. There could be a wedding on the agenda, or you could be just talking about ceremonies and celebrations in general that you're having to plan. And the card that I get for you is, oh wow, she's just talking about this card, the 9 of Coins. So this is about you really being able to spoil yourself, enjoying your riches or enjoying everything that you have accumulated, being able to take care of yourself, especially on your own, being able to feel like you can stand on your own 2 feet. That seems to be like a really important part of this card, but it's not just surviving, it's thriving. It's like, I don't want to have just enough. I want to have like a lot more. So I can do something nice for myself, plan a trip, go somewhere, and really just be able to spoil myself because I've worked hard to achieve something. So it's talking about having more than enough to do so. So next we have Leo and Leo rising. So this conjunction, this stellium of Pisces, is happening in your 8th house. I'm going to start with the bittersweet stuff first. Certainly the 8th house can have connections to endings, loss, letting go. There can be gains from letting go because Venus is there and also because Jupiter is there. You may find that there is an ending of a relationship or a business partnership. You may find that there is a need to like say goodbye or let go of something. That can happen, okay? There can be inheritances that come in. There can be bigger bonuses, tax bonuses that come in. You know, it is tying your 5th house lord, Jupiter, into the mix with Venus. So there's conversations also about what can I bring more of? How can we have more intimacy, more connection? There can be talks about fertility. There can be talks about investment. If you have made investments previously, they can pay off. If you've been working really hard, you can end up getting a raise. You can meet wealthy partners or creative collaborators. That's something else that can kind of come in from this house. But for all of it to be happening in your 8th house makes me feel like you're definitely going to get something substantial. So it's like a lot of resources, a lot of support, a lot of sex, a lot of money. Like something's going to happen that's going to be big. Leo is going to benefit from this the most. I think when it comes to learning to heal past traumas and what you are able to receive through, you know, working hard and just like really finally having something substantial, whether that's just a better mental mindset or getting a bonus for all the hard work that you have been doing. So that's really positive. I would say though, just be mindful that this is going to enhance things. So if there are ongoing tax issues, if there are ongoing financial issues or needing to pay things off, it's like there can be a big payment due. So you can have money come in and you have to pay something, right? The card that I got for you is the 10 of Cups. Hi, super happy, super great. This is like the cup runneth over card. This is the family coming together, everything coming together. It's like a dream maybe is coming true, a wish is coming true, something really important, really big for your family. If you've been hoping to expand your family, if something good happens to one of your family members, it's also going to bless you. There is a sense of celebrating something. So it could be celebrating an engagement, a wedding, a pregnancy, a birthday, which there's lots of lavishness. There's lots of positive emotional joy, right? This is happening in a water sign. So it can be rich with family and rich with happiness in general, and everything kind of starting to come together for you. Very exciting. Very exciting for you, Leo. For Virgo and Virgo rising, this is happening in your 7th house. Virgo, like love is in the air. This is going to feel like almost like a Disney movie this month. It's crazy. There is like the most crazy romantic happenings going on. You might have to like rub your eyes and go, is this real? Am my eyes deceiving me? Is this person real? I think with the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, it can also be about somebody from the past coming back in a different light and realizing you're still in love. It can be about you deciding to move for love, meeting a foreigner, somebody from a foreign place, meeting somebody at a beach. They might have a lot to do with water, with all of that Pisces in the 7th house. They might be very alluring, very attractive, spiritual, creative, artsy. There's something going on there, right? For people who are single, you may meet someone. For people who are partnered, you may start talking about getting married or getting engaged. This is usually the kind of the transits that I see, especially with Uranus in your 9th. You know, the sextiles between that can be like, you know what, let's just do it. You know, let's elope, or like, let's get married in 2 months, or, you know, let's move in together. Things will progress very quickly. And there can be like this emphasis in being open and receptive to other people telling you how they're feeling about you. Well, the card that I get is the 4 of Wands. So engagements, proposals, weddings, meeting the person that you may do this with. Really interesting. I was like, I wonder if this card's going to come up for Virgo. It did. And it can be meeting somebody at a wedding. It can be going to a party. It can be going to a get together and a gathering. This is also talking about celebrating how far you've come, miniature goals. So if you're like, we've been together for 2 months, celebrate it. If it's like, we've been together for 8 months, celebrate it. You know, there's some need to really be excited about where you're at in a connection right now. Even if it's early, it's really important for you to be going out, doing things, being together, you know, going out, seeing live music, going to parties, and just really enjoying each other's company. So if you are single, go out and do those things. You're going to meet someone. If you're not, you might start talking about a more serious connection. So Virgo and Virgo rising, watch out, because this is going to be a very memorable transit that might bring you a very significant soulmate. For Libra and Libra rising, this conjunction is happening in your natal 6th house. Now you are going to feel this very strongly, Libra, because you are ruled by Venus. So when Venus comes in conjunction with Jupiter, it's magnifying your ability to communicate, share, teach, making time for meetings, making time for podcasts, making time for, making videos, starting something. You might start talking about wanting to help people. Some of you guys might start some kind of consulting. Maybe you get involved with a cause or something that's very near and dear to your heart, because it's coming into conjunction also with Neptune in your natal 6th house. Health gets better, mental health gets better. You find a routine that you fall in love with. For some of you, it can be like water aerobics. For others, it can be painting, creativity, art, stuff that involves animals, nonprofits. The list goes on. So definitely a very busy time for Libras. You're going to have lots of work being handed to you. If you've been struggling with some weird symptoms or some weird health ailments, they may suddenly be alleviated or evaporate or go away. And you're feeling like this renewal and you need more rest and recuperation and relax with your schedule. So meditation will become your best friend, Libra. Positive encounters with people who you work with. Make sure that if you're hiring anybody, you really suss them out and make sure that they're a good match. That's important, so you don't hire anybody that's a fraud. But if you need somebody to help you with your pets, your health, your schedule, organization, cleaning your house, all of that stuff, these things are all very positive and are very likely to happen. Now, I also think that with the transit of Mars coming into your 6th house, there could be lots of support from other people. So support from spouses, partners, business partners, people who are coworkers. So I know you have your hands full, but it's important to hire people if you need people, ask for help if you need help, anything like that. The card that I got for you is the King of Swords. So to me, it seems like it's about communicating and expressing very clearly. You might feel like you're moving about your day in a more intuitive way, that you're feeling kind of like you're channeling things or you're connecting with your higher self before you communicate. What's interesting is that Mercury, this is kind of like a Mercury card, is in Taurus. It's in your 8th house. So you're communicating more deeply. You're thinking about things before you make decisions, before you overfill your schedule. There can be more of an emphasis just on communicating and expressing your ideas clearly, having boundaries, things like that. There can be an air sign that comes into your life soon that kind of helps you work through things, communicate better, edit things, anything like that. So look for that. It could be a Gemini, it could be a Libra, or it could be an Aquarius that is popping in to help you soon. Then we have Scorpio and Scorpio rising. All right, so we have this stellium of Pisces planets setting up in your 5th house, Scorpio. Ooh, you and Virgo. It is happening in Pisces, so it's a sister sign, so it's going to make positive aspects to either your sun, moon, or your rising. Now, the 5th house deals with falling in love, point blank. But this is about releasing any inhibitions and letting go. So for some of you guys coming off of this full moon in Libra, you had a breakup. Right? You had a breakup, you had a separation, somebody left your life, whatever, let them go. For some of you, you had a breakthrough where there was this awareness of what you were afraid of, what your partner was afraid of, whether or not you're really open for love, if you're ready to meet somebody significant. Now, this conjunction of Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Neptune, all happening, right, in Pisces is about falling in love. Falling in love with a person, falling in love with a hobby, falling in love with a child, falling in love with yourself. The 5th house is the love that you give. You have so much love to give, Scorpio. It's so important for you to acknowledge that. So what are you going to do with this love, right? What are you going to do with it? What are you going to put it into? Are you going to put it into starting a new hobby and maybe you start creating art and crafting? Are you going to put it into a relationship and give a lot of love to somebody who's open and ready to receive it? Are you deciding that you're with your partner and you're ready to take the next step and say, I love you? Are you deciding to give that love to a child? I think that the horoscope for Scorpio and Scorpio rising is very interesting because we see this conjunction happening in the 5th, but it's also sextiling Uranus and all these planets like the North Node in the 7th. So love and relationships happen very quickly. People can come, people can go, but what will stay is what's true, right? You have to love you, Scorpio. You have to do that. You have to love yourself so much that you're not willing to drop your standards and kind of lower the bar, because if it's set on, no, it has to be true love. If it's set on, no, I want to get married. No, I want to have a baby. Stay the path, because if you stay the path, you're going to find that things are going to materialize with this eclipse. North Node eclipse is happening in your 7th. You got an eclipse happening here on the 30th. That's a fresh, new, clean slate for relationships. If somebody recently left, you'd be surprised how quickly somebody can come in. I also would say watch for that retrograde that's going to happen, the Mercury retrograde. You might have people from the past return, or you work something out, especially if somebody was afraid. But if you're trying to get pregnant, now is the time. But you have to let go of your inhibitions. It's about date night. It's about romance. It's about having fun. It's about having a glass or two of wine and being able to go on a date and just really focus on romance. You know, that's really what this is about. It's about romance in your 5th house. The card that I get is the Wheel of Fortune. Good luck, good fortune. You know, you could have something pay off. You could have a creative moment and you feel really inspired and you make something and it's successful. Fate falling in your corner. So it can be about the wheel kind of spinning upwards right now and bringing good things to you. It's about fate playing a role. This can also be about gambling in the 5th house. So if you're a gambler or anything like that, taking chances with the market, investments or anything. If you're going to Vegas, you know, put a little money in a slot machine. But this is saying that good things are coming your way and fate is about to step in. So just be really focused on what you're manifesting and it's going to come true. It's unbelievable how many of these cards are positive today. Wow. Now we've got Sag and Sag rising. Sag, you are really going to feel this because it is involving your chart ruler, Jupiter. So we are seeing this Pisces Stellium set up in your natal 4th house of home, family, your roots, your ancestors, your past. On one hand, it can have you a little in your feelings, a little emotional, questioning where is home, where is family, where do I belong, where am I going, how can I create more positive memories. You can be very nostalgic, and there can be a sense of you kind of having to reconcile with the past. On the other hand, positive connections with family, expanding your home, bigger home, relocating, moving, renovating, new people coming into the family. You might be looking to buy a house. You might be looking to buy a house because pretty soon Jupiter's going to go in your 5th and you might be trying to move in with a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a loved one. Maybe you're having a baby. So there's really good things that are going to come from this transit. You're going to see that the squares all to your personal planets in Sag are reminding you that things are changing big time. And it's important to release and let go of the past and not be in like a really kind of mopey mindset, because I think a lot of you are going to be kind of mopey. I feel like this is about you taking it on yourself to redefine your home, your inner world, your personal life. I feel like it might have to do with a mother, you as a mother, a woman of some kind. I think it might also just deal with like redefining, like I said, what home means to you. So if you're looking to buy a home, invest in a home, anything like that, it's very positive. I think that it's inevitable that the past is going to come up. So I just want you to know that you're going to have to really kind of look at it and decide that you're going to let it go before you move forward. There can be some of you guys hoping to relocate in a distant place or in a foreign place, or traveling to a foreign place or a place that you haven't been before, and you'll go back and forth and you'll be thinking about this. So pay attention to that because that can happen. You're going to create like a Zen zone in your home. So you might think about getting your house feng shuied or just rearranging things or creating an altar space or a meditation room or something like that in your house. The card that I get is the Queen of Coins. So I'm wondering if this is about getting your money straight so you feel like you can move. You know, Saturn's in your 3rd. So some of you guys are like, do I move? Do I not move? You know, what am I doing with my money? Am I going to buy something? Am I still going to rent? Is my family going to help me buy a house? Am I going back home? Am I moving in with my mom? Something like that can happen. Mom comes to visit maybe, or a grandmother or an aunt or sister. Look for an earth sign though that's going to kind of pop in and possibly play a role in talking to you about getting better grounded and getting better stabilized. Money and resources can come from family. That is possible, especially with Venus being in the mix. All right, so we've got Capricorn and Cap rising. This is taking place in your natal 3rd house. So all of these energies are playing very nicely with Pluto in your sign. They're also playing very nicely with Uranus in the North Node in Taurus. So there's lots of conversations about you and what you love, what you enjoy to do, where you want to go, what you want to visit, you talking to children more, creative people more, something like that. Being that it's happening in your 3rd house, some of you guys are going to think about buying a new car. You're going to think about possibly doing more creative writing. You might want to start a podcast. You might be reading more books on self-help, meditation, personal development. I love like mantras for you guys, because I think that where all these planets are aligning in your third house is going to help you when it comes to communication. It's going to help you deal more with like transmuting negative thoughts. So get into a habit of having a mantra that you say every day. Get into a habit of going for walks or bicycle rides and listening to positive, anything positive self-talk, motivation. If you want to listen to podcasts, if you want to listen to audiobooks, anything like that, it'll be really helpful for you, because it's going to really work really nicely with that third house energy. Maybe you're talking about creative projects. Maybe you're talking about moving. Maybe you're talking about having children, because it's making aspects to your fifth house. But when Jupiter aligns, which is your 12th house lord, with Venus and Neptune in your third, I think some of you guys are going to start meditating, paying attention to your dreams, breaking down your dreams, and you're going to start doing some kind of creative writing or channeling. So I would say do that. It can be a great exercise for you. There can be positive short distance trips, getting out of town with a friend or with a sibling. There can be more positive, harmonious conversations with a sibling as well. Maybe you're working with them in some capacity. Maybe you're able to work remotely so you can travel a little bit. Maybe because Venus is in the mix, which is the ruler of your natal 10th house, you're also getting glowing reviews for the work that you have been doing. Oh, wow. The card that I get is the Emperor. Being on top of your game. I mean, Mars is in Pisces, so Mars is moving in, and it's saying like, you're taking initiative. You're basically being like, yes, I'm owning this. This is what I'm doing. Some of you guys might be thinking about moving. Some of you guys are dealing with an issue with a parent, and I can see that with Jupiter also getting ready to go into your fourth house. So maybe you're having to kind of talk to siblings more about something that's going on with a family member. If you need to be closer, if you need to visit, but you are handling it. You're the boss. You're mastering everything that's going on right now. Really coming into your own in terms of saying what you mean and meaning it, and really showing the world that you're changing and transforming in a positive way and taking more initiative, especially in your communication. That's wonderful. For Aquarius and Aquarius rising, this is happening in your second house. Woo! This can be very beneficial. This can bring lots of money, lots of opportunities, lots of sudden upswings and resources and new talents and things that you never knew that you had. Certainly Jupiter going into your natal second house is lovely because it does bring in more abundance, spending power, and resources, but we've got Venus and Neptune there as well. So you want to be mindful that it can be money in, money out, right? Mars is there. You might feel like spending money. I would say be careful. Don't be spending money before you get it. So if you think that you're getting a bonus, if you're getting a payout, make sure you get it before you're spending it. Okay? Really hear me on this. I kind of think of like Jupiter, Neptune, Mars, and Venus in your second as like taking a cup and putting a hole in it. And even if you're pouring water into the cup, which is money coming in, there's money going out. So be mindful that it's this sensitive thing where it's like, yeah, this money's coming in, but you may not know where it's going or where you're spending it. So budgeting and staying on top of your resources this month is really important, so you're not going over budget and you're not spending more than you're bringing in. But still with this conjunction, it's very sweet. I think it can bring a nice payout. I think it can also bring a real taste for art, artful things, buying art, buying pieces, investing more in fine foods, luxury foods, maybe traveling, anything like that. So you're spending more on food and resources. You might be inclined to go, I want to buy fancy waters. I want to buy jewelry. I want to buy fancy makeup. I want massages. It's a house that deals with pleasure and feeling good and the body as well. So be investing in your health, right? That's what I want you to be investing in. But I am getting the impression, because it is also involving, Venus, that because it has that connection to, your natal ninth, you might be traveling or you're having to pay for school or education. That's possible. And because, other people might rely on you, you're spending a lot in resources as well. So just be mindful of that. All right, so let's see the card that comes up. Six of Cups. So it can be that you've been waiting to hear news back about something, if something's going to go through, if something's going to pay out, if somebody's going to give you an opportunity, if somebody's going to give you money, resources, a job. If you've been waiting for that to return to come back, it's going to come back. It does look like it's positive news. It does look like whatever is coming back is meant for you, whether that's a thing, an opportunity, a person, a resource, what have you. This is also about reminiscing on the good times and reflecting and things that you really miss. So this can also be like you finding something and obtaining something that you lost, or going and investing in something that reminds you of your childhood because you just have to have it. Like there's something of value that's coming back to you that you've been waiting for or that you have been hoping would return. Very romantic card as well. And last but not least, this is really the star of the Pisces show. We have Pisces. So Pisces, Jupiter, Neptune, Venus, Mars, all in your sign. Are you blissed out? Is it like, are you like that starry-eyed emoji like all month long? I would imagine. Well, this is happening on your ascendant or your sun or your moon, depending on your placements. But Pisces is going to benefit from this, and it's just a very imaginative time. It's not a time that things are going to fully manifest yet. We have to wait until more planets get into Aries. But I think that this is a time to be really creative and expressive and in love and just like really feeling like you're flowing with these energies. Wonderful time for makeovers, wonderful time to pamper yourself, to just really have like the most luxurious, comfortable fabrics, to have the most beautiful flowers and nice things that are around, and just like really feeling like you're leaning into those energies. Take lots of pictures. I keep telling you guys that, but you're really going to see like that beauty kind of come out during these transits. In the first house, it's about the body, it's about the self. So I could also see an emphasis in like pedicures, foot reflexology, massages, beauty, pampering, soaks, baths, being by the beach, being by the pool, and where you find yourself and really just being in love with this energy. Soak it up, because once all these planets like Jupiter and Mars and Venus go into Aries, it's a totally different ball game. Then that's going to be like more action, and it's going to be more about you working hard and bringing in more resources. So if you need to rest, recuperate, you know, focus more on beauty, taking your time, enjoying yourself, do it now, because you're going to see in the next month or two, it's going to be like go, 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 go. You're not going to get a break for a little bit because you're going to be so focused on hustling that I would really encourage you to make the most of these energies now. I think that you're going to feel very inspired. I feel like you're going to be very creative. I feel like you're going to possibly want to redefine yourself, especially creatively, artistically. There is a sense of like being more Neptunian in how you show yourself. So you might have sheer fabrics, or you might focus more on, you know, playing with lighting and how you look, and photo shoots and doing things differently, and just kind of coming across a little bit more etheric. If that's something that you end up doing, it's going to do well on you. It's crazy. I got the 9 of coins, so pretty positive cards all around all day. I'm really excited for that. This is once again indulging, enjoying yourself, giving yourself the finer things. Literally what I was expressing, that's what this card is all about. And it's about finding yourself in a situation where you're alone, which many of you are, by the way, because Neptune's in your sign right now, or it's on your ascendant. But being alone is not like, oh, I'm alone, I'm abandoned. It's like really being in love with the idea of romance, and like maybe you're reading more romance novels, or you're watching things like that, and you're romanticizing what life could be. And really what you're doing is manifesting. So I want you to be mindful of that it's really important for you to treat yourself really well, take care of yourself right now, be really open psychically and intuitively, and be aware of what you're manifesting, because what you're surrounding yourself with is the vibration that you're bringing in. Okay? Hopefully you guys like this video. Let me know, where is this conjunction happening in your chart? Take a look at where Pisces is. That's where like the dream imagination is playing out later this week. And then look at where Taurus is, because it's sextiling Taurus. So it's 2 signs away. And through that divine inspiration, love, beauty, what have you, whatever you're experiencing in Pisces will play into what is physically materializing in Taurus in your chart. So you got to look at both. Check out a birth chart calculator online to see where that's playing out. If you don't know, consider booking a reading with me. Check out my links below. You can find out my website at beyondtheveiltarot.com. You can see all of my resources. I have full and half-hour readings available, all kinds of different services. You can follow me on social media as well. I'm pretty active on Instagram if that's something that you guys want to check out. I'm always posting memes and other things there. And yeah, if you'd like to get a reading with me, get in contact with me. Would love to see a new client. I also have memberships, so if you like these videos, if you want to see more, and if you want to help me achieve my goal by the end of summer, being able to do videos every day, do consider becoming a member or subscribing. You can comment, you can give me a thumbs up or a heart. I really appreciate it. It helps me get into the YouTube algorithm and other people see my videos. Otherwise, I'm wishing you guys all kinds of magical, mystical experiences, lots of love, lots of romance, hopefully lots of Venusian sex on beaches, all those fun things. And I really hope that this energy plays out well for everybody and we get a bit of peace and relaxation out in the world. I hope it brings more positivity, and I hope it brings a lot more peace. It's kind of what I'm hoping for. It's going to be interesting because very shortly after this, we're going to see that both Venus and then Jupiter and then Mars will go into Aries. So it's a little slice of heaven right now. I got to take it where we can get it, you know? Anyways, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you soon. Take care.